This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily roundup. We have a lot of ground to cover today, from high-profile security breaches to tragic local cases. Let's get right into the headlines you need to know.
A DC Gala shooting lasted only 7 seconds.
A grandmother allegedly forced a child to drink whiskey.
A Mississippi man is accused of dismembering his mother.
Singer D4VD faces charges in a teenager's death.
A Florida Santa was caught in a sex sting.
A fraud ringleader allegedly leaked documents from jail.
Suspect Cole Allen faces strict DC jail conditions.
A family sues after a teen's construction death.
First, the DC shooting. New details have emerged regarding the terrifying security breach at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where a confrontation between law enforcement and an alleged shooter lasted just 7 seconds. Shortly after 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, 31-year-old Cole Allen reportedly burst through double doors at the Washington Hilton, just one floor above where President Trump and 2,600 guests were dining. Allen had allegedly descended from his 10th floor room to a terrace-level hallway, where he removed a jacket that had been concealing a shotgun. The timeline is incredibly tight. A K-9 unit exited the doors, and just 2 seconds later, Allen entered. He sprinted through a magnetometer that the Secret Service was actually in the middle of disassembling. Within another 2 seconds, gunfire erupted as Allen allegedly fired at a uniformed officer from point-blank range.
The bravery shown by that Secret Service officer is remarkable. Despite being hit in his protective vest by buckshot at point-blank range, the officer managed to return fire 5 times as he was falling. Secret Service Director Sean Curran noted that the suspect appeared to hit his knee on a magnetometer box while being engaged, which caused him to fall to the ground. Officers were then able to handcuff Allen and move him to a secure area to remove a tactical vest he was wearing. In addition to the shotgun, authorities later found multiple knives and a handgun in his possession. It is a miracle that no one was seriously hurt, as the suspect was only about 40 feet away from the staircase leading directly to the ballroom. Allen now faces charges of attempting to assassinate the president.
Now to Louisiana. In Louisiana, a 57-year-old grandmother named Roxanne Record is on trial for the horrific death of her 4-year-old granddaughter, China Record. Prosecutors allege that as a form of punishment, the grandmother forced the young child to drink more than half a pint of whiskey. The child's mother, Kaja Record, is also facing murder charges for allegedly watching the punishment occur without intervening. During the trial's opening, Assistant District Attorney Dana Cummings described a pattern of extreme cruelty within the home, claiming that Roxanne Record demonized China while favoring her other grandchildren. The prosecution argued that the household environment was so toxic that other children were conditioned to believe that China was stealing when she tried to access basic necessities like food and water. This case highlights a devastating failure of protection for a vulnerable child.
The specific details of that night are truly haunting. The punishment was reportedly triggered because China took a sip of whiskey from a bottle left on a counter. Roxanne Record allegedly forced the girl to her knees to finish the rest of the bottle and then simply went about her daily life while the child died. When police arrived, they found China unresponsive, and she was pronounced dead within 2 hours. Her blood alcohol content was measured at 0.680, which is more than 8 times the legal limit for an adult driver. If convicted of first-degree murder and cruelty to a juvenile, Roxanne Record faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison. This trial is bringing to light the absolute nightmare this little girl lived through, where even drinking water at home was treated as a criminal act by her own family.
Next, a Mississippi case, a truly gruesome discovery in Natchez, Mississippi, has led to murder and mayhem charges against Zachary Lavelle Jackson Jr. He is accused of killing and dismembering his mother, Lana Brown Bradley, a beloved retired educator. The investigation began with a welfare check on April 4th, and when deputies entered the home, they were immediately struck by the overwhelming smell of chemicals and a floor that was dangerously slippery from cleaning agents. Jackson was found locked inside a downstairs bathroom. When he finally opened the door, deputies noticed a strange black substance in the toilet that raised immediate alarms. Sheriff Travis Patton described the scene as the most heinous crime he has ever witnessed in his career, noting that the details of the case are the kind that follow a law enforcement officer home long after the shift ends.
The search of the family's 2-acre property turned even darker when a family member discovered a portion of the remains. Deputies heard a scream, and someone yelling that they had found a head, which shifted the entire energy of the investigation. Some of the victims' remains were found packed into a suitcase, while other parts were discovered inside the toilet after a plumber was called to assist. The level of violence involved is staggering, as the suspect allegedly used various tools to dismember his mother before attempting to flush the evidence away. Lana Brown Bradley was a respected member of her community, making this senseless act of violence even more difficult for the local residents to process. Jackson is now facing charges of murder, mayhem, and tampering with physical evidence as the legal process begins to unfold.
Moving to Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, prosecutors have released disturbing new details in the murder case against 21-year-old singer David Burke, known professionally as D4VD. Burke has pleaded not guilty to the first-degree murder of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose dismembered remains were found in his Tesla. The prosecution's timeline suggests an illegal relationship began when the victim was just 11 years old. Even after the girl's parents tried to intervene by taking her phone, Burke allegedly paid a junior high student $1,000 to smuggle a new phone to her. Text messages between the two reportedly discuss pregnancy and abortion, and prosecutors plan to present evidence of sexual activity. The relationship reportedly turned volatile in April 2025, leading to a lengthy argument over text just one day before the murder is believed to have occurred, fueled by the victim's jealousy over Burke's other relationships.
The evidence regarding the aftermath of the killing is particularly chilling. Prosecutors allege that after the murder, Burke purchased chainsaws, a shovel, and a burn cage to dispose of the body. Surveillance footage and receipts reportedly track these purchases, which the state argues shows a calculated attempt to cover up the crime. The victim had expressed frustration in her final messages, telling Burke that she wanted more for herself than just their secret relationship. This case has sent shockwaves through the music industry and the public, given Burke's rising fame as a singer. As the preliminary hearing approaches next month, the focus remains on the tragic loss of a young girl who was allegedly manipulated and eventually killed by someone she trusted. The charges of lewd acts and mutilation of a human body further underscore the severity of the allegations Burke is facing.
Now to Florida. A week-long undercover sting operation in Polk County, Florida, has led to the arrest of a man who spent years portraying Santa Claus. Thomas Allen Hicks was one of 19 people arrested during the operation, dubbed Polk Around and Find Out. Sheriff Grady Judd expressed absolute disgust, noting that thousands of children had sat on Hicks's lap over the years, unaware that he was allegedly a child sex predator. Hicks was caught after responding to an online ad featuring age-regressed images of a forensic technician. He allegedly contacted an undercover officer posing as a father who needed rent money and was willing to sell access to his 13-year-old daughter. Hicks reportedly described himself as an older man who was very gentle, even after being explicitly told the girl's young age, which he claimed he hadn't realized initially.
The details of the solicitation are disturbing, as Hicks allegedly offered $200 for the encounter. He now faces multiple charges, including human trafficking and using a computer to solicit a parent or guardian. Sheriff Judd emphasized that the sting was designed to catch those who actively seek out children for illegal sex, and the fact that a community figure like a local Santa was involved has deeply troubled the public. Out of the 19 arrests made during the week, 16 individuals had traveled specifically with the intent to engage in illegal acts with minors. This operation highlights the ongoing efforts of law enforcement to use undercover tactics to identify and remove predators from the community. For many parents in the area, the news of Hicks's arrest is a terrifying reminder of the hidden dangers that can exist even in seemingly wholesome environments.
Next, Minnesota fraud. Amy Bach, the alleged ringleader of the massive $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, is now accused of orchestrating a public relations campaign from behind bars. Prosecutors filed a motion alleging that Bach directed her college-age son to download and leak protected legal documents to the media and elected officials. The goal was reportedly to minimize her role in the fraud and shift blame onto state officials, including Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. Recorded jail calls from March show Bach instructing her son to send files to Republicans in D.C. and specific right-wing figures. She allegedly told him to remove exhibit stickers and markings that would identify the documents as part of her federal criminal case. This attempt to manipulate public opinion ahead of her sentencing has led to a new investigation into the violation of court protective orders.
The prosecution's motion includes a particularly bold quote from a jail call where Bach claimed she hadn't snitched on anyone while the case was pending, but was now blowing things up by leaking documents. This strategy backfired when a reporter for the Minnesota Star Tribune obtained copies of documents that could only have come from the government's discovery disclosures. While investigators haven't confirmed the exact path of every leak, the jail recordings provide strong evidence of Bach's intent to bypass the court's rules. The Feeding Our Future case is already one of the largest pandemic-era fraud prosecutions in the country, involving the theft of funds intended to feed hungry children. These new allegations of witness tampering and document leaking only add to the legal jeopardy Bach faces as she awaits the final resolution of her massive federal fraud case.
Back to Cole Allen. Returning to the White House Correspondents' Dinner suspect, we now have details on the strict conditions of Cole Allen's detention. He is being held at the Correctional Treatment Facility within the D.C. Jail Complex, a newer building that has previously housed high-profile defendants. Allen is currently in a restrictive cell under medical isolation and a 72-hour suicide watch, which is standard protocol for high-profile arrivals. He is required to wear a green suicide smock and is under 24-hour observation by a correctional officer posted directly outside his cell door. His lawyer confirmed that he is on a total lockdown, with no access to outside materials or even standard utensils. He is being served finger foods on a tray to ensure safety. These measures reflect the high-security nature of his charges, which include the attempted assassination of a sitting president.
The facility where Allen is held is separate from the main D.C. jail and is operated under a contract with the U.S. Marshal Service. While he is allowed religious materials like a Bible or Quran, he has reportedly not made any such requests yet. His access to hygiene is also strictly regulated, with showers permitted only every 72 hours during this initial observation period. The U.S. Marshals typically do not disclose the exact locations of high-profile prisoners for security reasons, but sources confirmed his placement due to the public nature of the incident. Allen has not yet entered a plea to the assassination and firearms charges. As he remains in this safe cell environment, the legal team in the court are preparing for the next steps in a case that has drawn intense national scrutiny due to the proximity of the attack to the president.
Finally, an Oregon lawsuit. The family of 18-year-old Lucas Gray has filed a wrongful death lawsuit following his tragic death at an Oregon construction site. Gray was working a summer job before starting college when he was run over and crushed by a 30,500-pound wheel loader. He was lying on the ground clearing debris from a hole when the heavy machinery struck him. Oregon OSHA investigated the incident and cited the construction company for failing to protect workers from moving equipment. The investigation revealed that essential safety measures, such as spotters, barricades, or traffic cones, were completely absent from the site. The company was fined just over $31,000, but the family's lawsuit seeks much more, alleging that the death was entirely preventable. The scene was so devastating that Lucas's mother arrived to find her son's boots and hat lying near a stream of blood on the pavement.
A key piece of evidence in the lawsuit is a text message sent by the wheel loader operator just 10 days before the accident. In that message, the operator warned that the site was unorganized and unproductive, stating that not one person is on the same page. He described a lack of direction that caused unnecessary frustration and safety concerns among the crew. On the day Lucas died, the site superintendent was reportedly not even present. This lack of oversight and communication is at the heart of the family's claim against the developers and holding companies. Lucas was only 1 week away from his last day on the job before heading to college. His family is now fighting for accountability, hoping that this legal action will force construction companies to take workplace safety protocols more seriously, to prevent another family from enduring such a senseless loss.
That wraps up our briefing for today. Thank you for joining us for these important updates.
Be sure to follow us for your next daily update on the stories that matter most. We will see you back here tomorrow.